Hold on. What the heck? It's not. Sorry, it's normally just on, guys. There we go. Black fatigue. Black fatigue. Shaniqua, please take out the weave. Black fatigue. Black fatigue. Shaniqua, please take out the weave. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Hoes are gonna hoe. Nobody has to know. Hoes are gonna hoe. Nobody has to know. Hoes are gonna hoe. That we know for sure. Hoes are gonna hoe. Thank you. Thank you. I know. Stop it. I know. I should drop an album. I should, shouldn't I? You're right. How did you guys know? How did you know? Thank you. Thank you. You know, every day I wake up and I think, well, all right. So I just kind of wanted to shit talk a little bit, tell you guys about my life. Is that cool? This is going to have nothing to do with the topic. We'll get into the topic, but this has nothing to do with the topic. I like to kind of spitball some thoughts I have. Okay. I like to so the first thing is that I really want an N-word pass. Okay. And I think I talked about this last show. I'd like to say, what's up, and I'm requesting from the blacks. I'm requesting an N-word pass. And the reason I want an N-word pass, it's not because in my life, like I joke, but I don't have a real reason to be dropping the N-word. I think I maybe say the F word a little bit too much, but it's not like something I crave, But I just like to feel included. Sue me. I don't like feeling left out. It's kind of like that party that you weren't going to go to anyway. The invite is nice, I want to be able to say N-word in Paris without a care, And okay, I'm a little racist, but okay, just because I'm racist, it doesn't mean I hate black people. I think we need to differentiate people that hate black people and racists. Racists notice a pattern, and that pattern is very stark, but I have no hatred. In fact, some of my best friends are black. You know what I mean? But they don't like it when white people say that. They're like, well, you could still be a racist. And it's like, well, I think I am a racist, but can I be a racist with black friends? I mean, I'll even date interracially. What racist white girls love black guys. So I just think that I just like to feel included, I don't know. I don't like being left out. It's just like you guys get to say it. Why don't I get to say it? I woke up early this morning. I like the crack of dawn. I woke up at 5 a.m. and it wasn't because I had anything to go to. I just, not last night, but the night before, I was on my phone too late. Sometimes I get on Instagram reels and I'll be up till 1 or 2 in the morning. So it's like, it was my own fault, but I fell asleep at like 9. So 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I wake up at 5, that's 8 hours of sleep and I'm like up. So, my man, it was his birthday today. It's his birthday. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I'll just say I made banana bread this morning and I'm like, okay. So I go to the store. And sorry. And all the stores are closed. And I'm like, okay. So I walk to Walgreens. I get my banana bread ingredients. I make banana bread for breakfast. Some coffee. I know it's not the most healthy, but there were some ripe bananas. What are you going to do? So, I get my stuff. I make my banana bread and I'm walking outside and it's like pitch black. Like the sun is not up. The only people that are up are the homeless people. And I'm like, am I better than everybody else? I always would kind of make fun of people that get up early because they think they're so great. They think they're better than everybody else, But I found myself thinking the same thing. I'm like, haha, I'm up before all of you guys. Where is everybody? Why aren't the stores open? Get up, everybody. Now, I guess it's situational because the area I was in, it's mostly 9 to 5ers. So, but I'm like, you guys don't want to work out before work? But no one tells you about working out before work. If you want to go, like, I don't know what your normal life is, but when you start, because recently I used to stay up like all night, but recently I'm not an early riser, but I normally get up at like 7 or 8. And mind you, when I was in London, I used to stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning all the time. Actually, it was worse than that. Sometimes it'd be 5 or 6. It was bad because I would do these shows late at night. It's kind of part of the reason I stopped doing the panel shows is because I just was not, that schedule aged me. I'm like, I'm already hitting the wall. I don't need to hit it harder, So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, right? And the issue, if you consistently get up at 5 a.m., because I used to do CrossFit at 5 a.m., is that if you do anything social on the weekends, you're so tired. Like staying up past 10 feels like death. It feels like death. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on like getting up early or staying up late. I just had the thought yesterday. I was like, I am better than all of you. Or this morning. I just thought, I'm better than everybody. I am awesome. I just get up early. 9 p.m. sleep comes for me. Yeah, I think some of you see, I don't have the pass. Maybe one of these days I'll just, I'm trying to think of any other ideas I wanted to spitball at you. I had a coffee talk about this, but I don't know if I articulated it right. I'll just say this. I was thinking about an argument I've had in the past. And this had to deal with a woman, right? And this woman was mad at me because I didn't include her in something. But this woman also meticulously bullied me, right? When I was younger. And I was thinking about this concept. And I'm like, women will be so mean to you and then play victim when you don't invite them to things. Isn't that kind of incredible? You're like, that's kind of incredible. So, They say getting up early shows discipline. Does it? I mean, if you get the work done all the same, but I did start to have that attitude in the morning. I was like, yeah, I'm better than everybody. Yeah, work. I don't know. When I worked a 9 to 5, I did 5 a.m. for 6 months and I utterly hated it. But back then I had a lot less discipline with my phone. A lot less discipline. So, guys, if you start saying, if you're trolling in the chat, my mod's not here yet because I'm kind of early. He's got a day job. But I will just ban you. I will just, it's not that difficult for me to ban you. That's your warning. I'm better than everybody because I got up at 5 a.m. one time. I think this is gonna be my new personality trait. Is telling everybody I wake up early and you wake up late. And saying, what are you doing? Why don't you get up at the crack of dawn? I think that I'm right and that you are wrong. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. It's true. I'm better than all of you. Really, I felt like that. That's how I felt. All right. We're going to watch this Andrew Wilson. I got to first go to my last debate and my last stream on it and just see where I left off. Let me get the timestamp on the video. 21 minutes. I think I was like 30 minutes in. Let me see. I'm going to go with like 25 minutes. It's close enough. Okay. Also, congratulations to Rachel Wilson. She was on Joe Rogan this morning. Andrew Wilson. I might, if I get through this, I may, okay, let's see. I might react to that too. Yeah, marriage is worth it if you get the right woman and keep God in your relationship. It's bold of you to assume women have God. That's bold. Okay.
Father. Notice I don't say friendly towards fathers, but not hostile towards father, where the outcome is a default 50-50 arrangement.
And what about the outcomes for the kids? That's what I'm...
Also, I have something I have to sign for, a package. And later, we're going to have a guest come on and give us a history lesson. So, yeah, I will have to take a break to grab the delivery. So
I'm concerned with.
Yeah, so the outcomes for the kids are obviously better when the parents stay together, and you reduce the risk for the mom to leave dad. And Kentucky successfully did that. They lowered the divorce rate by 20% by assuming default 50-50 custody on divorce. She would have to...
Okay, you're saying godly women are rare. They don't exist. I've never met one. I hate to say it. Every woman I thought was godly, her life choices proved otherwise. Godly women. You're telling me you know better than Paul? He said he met one good man and no good women. Really? Like, you're telling me you have met better women than in biblical times. That's how I know it's just simping. It's like the utmost degree.
Prove that he's some kind of a degenerate piece of shit, drug dealer, gangster, or something like this, where it would warrant her getting custody. But if you live in that state now, they're seeing the divorce rate drop by 20%.
Well, then you've created but then you've created a contradiction. You've created a contradiction here, Rich, because earlier when I asked you, I said, Rich, why is it that if you're in a low risk category as a group for getting divorced, shouldn't you do it? And you said, well, any risk is too high. But now you advise that men go to a state where they still run. Hang on, Rich. Hang on. Let me finish, bro. I just heard you out. The contradiction here is obvious. If I ask you, why shouldn't people who are in already mitigated low risk groups for getting divorced shouldn't do it? You say because the risk is high if there's even one divorce.
No, but they always manipulate these statistics like it's a low like none of it's that low. I mean, the lowest risk is like Russian roulette. I mean, you don't want to play Russian roulette, do you? Anyways.
Divorce. And I go, okay, but what should they do then to raise children? You say, well, they should go to some place where it doesn't assure them not getting divorced.
Well, that's
hang on.
But by the way, okay, if I had to rank like hierarchy of cucked and like divorce, I don't think divorce is the worst thing to happen to a man. In fact, I know a lot of guys, I mean, okay, they got some bitchy woman at 22 and then they divorced her at 32, or she divorced him at 32. They didn't see it coming. They were heartbroken, yada, yada. But now they get to date younger and hotter and better in every way. And they did recover financially because they were around 32 too. Like the worst divorces are the ones where the woman waits like a long time, you know. It's kind of nice to have silence in your old age, you know, as a man.
And hang on, it only helps mitigate the risk. And it's like, but that's my argument. My argument is that these groups are already mitigating risk. Why is it that you shouldn't be gravitating towards the groups which mitigate risk when that's your advice to men now?
Great. So what we're saying then is Kentucky mitigates the risk better than.
Well, okay, because you can say they have like a lower divorce rate or whatever. Like he's basically saying join my religion, right? And I mean, you can say that, but it doesn't matter because it still defaults to the state. Like you can say, yeah, you're less likely to get divorced from a religious woman, but it's like, is she less likely to get fat or, I don't know, be a bitch? Like, I mean, most of the conservative women I know beat their husbands to death over the Bible. Like they just use the Bible as a way to nag men. Like if anything, I rate them as worse than liberal women, because they just use their theology to tell men they're not good enough, you know. So I don't, and they're so much more performative. My God, there's nothing more performative than the marriage of an e-girl. And, or even a religious woman in church. It's like, they'll be the devil behind closed doors, but in church, oh, I love the kids and my husband. And this is always the cope. They don't, whenever someone's not perfect and they do what people do, right, which is sin, all people sin, they say, well, they don't count. They're not real Christians. I'm the moral one. I'm moral. You're not moral. I'm super moral. Look at me. And then half the time it's like Elijah Schaefer banging some e-girl. You know what I mean? Like it's just incredible. Then they just try to differentiate themselves and tell you how great of people they are. And then they're like, why don't people want to join my church? And I'm like, well, because you guys are insufferable. Yeah. So, and then whenever their leader that says the right things gets caught doing what everyone else is doing, they say, oh, well, we got to make sure we don't judge and forgive. It's like, I'm going to kill myself. Yeah, here we go. Christianity isn't about being perfect, but anybody that's not perfect, you say they're not real Christians. It just never ends. It's like it just never, it's like a circle of logic. Gets caught doing the bad thing. Then they say, and then they say they're not, it never ends. I mean, pastors are more likely to have emotional and physical affairs, which would make sense because they're on the stage. Women love banging men with microphones. I mean, there's nothing that gets a woman wetter than a microphone, including me, you know. It's like the guy has the microphone and you're like, ah.
Christianity.
No, it doesn't.
Apparently.
No, it assists with a de-incentive, but if you were a Christian in Kentucky, then your risk would be mitigated by double.
We're going back to the ought to, in a perfect world for Christians.
No, descriptive is right this second. If it's the case that it's lower than the national average overwhelmingly, which it is, and then you combine that with disincentives.
Okay, but there's a couple problems with the statistics that they cite. One, the overtly religious tend to be over a certain age. So like what they'll do is they'll do a survey saying like people go to church this many days a week. Are they more likely or less likely to divorce, right? And so it's like 3 times a week. But you don't know who started going to church, 2 or 3, whatever it is, the like bar for counting as their religion. And then the wife said, I don't want to go anymore. Now they're not counted, right? It also, so it's already like a bad sample. Like it's a bad way to calculate it. It also doesn't count in, social media is going to be detrimental to young women's mental health, right? Like 1/4 of women are in SSRIs. So how can we predict what women are going to do in the future? Like you're marrying women that are addicted to their phones, so how does that translate into the future of marriage? So there's just a lot of weight. Like even, I think I don't know if he's citing it now, but they cited an Amish statistic. They don't include the people that left the Amish. They don't count as Amish. So if you have like 100 people and half leave the Amish, it's like, I wonder what % leave actually.
Women from the state, it sounds like it's a very low risk endeavor, right, Rich?
It's a high enough risk.
Well, what do you consider low risk?
It's not worth any man to live in a way that looks like marriage to the government. I mean, like, even
but you just said to move to a place where.
For a second, Andrew,
I'm so
you gotta let me talk sometimes too, okay?
I've been letting you talk.
In heavy Eastern Orthodox countries like Russia, the narrative is still women get 80% of custody orders, right? This is across the world. This isn't just in North America. This is how we see family courts and religion apply to men and women's lives. And the whole point of a marriage, the whole point of marriage and children, you would say what? To pass on your name, pass on your DNA, to name your sons, to leave a legacy behind? What would you say it is?
Well, it depends on the worldview. From the Christian worldview, we feel that there's a commandment to do so.
Women don't care about God. And it's every time, whether it's me or a different woman, I'll even, I'll be the scapegoat. It's like, yeah, women can say, I don't say I'm religious, but every woman that I'm going to just list. All the women that said they feared God are either divorced, one has nudes on the internet. It's like all the ones that say they fear God, it's like none of your life choices suggest that you fear him. And it's not to insult you because, I also have life choices that don't suggest I fear God either. But there's just no evidence that shows women fear God in any way,
Multiply and for the most part, for most men to get married. Not every man's called to do that, but generally speaking, most of them seem to be. They seem to want to be with a woman.
I'm pro surrogate. That's the only true patriarchy is surrogacy.
They seem to want to have children with that woman, and they're commanded to do this. From a secularist perspective, or a non-Christian or a non-religious person, it seems to vary based on things like you mentioned, perhaps legacy, perhaps they have different incentives for why it is that they want to do that. I couldn't begin to tell you all of them because secular marriage to me is bizarre. It makes no sense. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of church-fearing women. The problem is or God-fearing women. The problem is they're like 50. They're pretty close to death. Not many women fear God when they're young.
Well, I don't even understand it. But I do want at least
doesn't make much sense in general.
I think marriage does make sense in general.
Not really.
I think,
it fails most of the time.
It doesn't fail most of the time. That's a lie. It doesn't. It doesn't.
When you look at the data around the people that
show me the data that marriage fails most of the time. Let's start with that.
With what? Sorry.
The data that marriage fails most of the time.
Yeah. So when you look.
Well, I don't need data. I need my eyes. I can think of 5 couples from back home where on paper their marriage didn't fail, but one of them, the wife's got completely obese, right? I mean, sure, the dad's chubby, but the wife is like a whale, right? Another one, the wife is a complete bitch. She undermines him and so like, again, what the religious people want to do is they want to say, look at my data and don't believe your eyes. And I'm like even Lauren Chen, why aren't you your husband's religion? Why don't you have his last name? And that's so common. Like, I just don't know many women that do marriage in the traditional set. It's like pick and choose marriage. It's like in all honesty, I wish there was a higher barrier to entry to marriage, because I don't think most women deserve the title of a wife. I don't think most women are wives. And unfortunately, any simp that gives a woman a title, now she can brag on the internet and say I'm married and now is an authority figure, right? Yeah, so anyways, it's just I only would say I know one woman, maybe 2 I could think of, that actually submit to their husbands in all things.
Look at the data on people that live in a way that looks like marriage. So there was a study done, Aaron and Acevedo covered this, the effects of love on long-term relationships. And they found that less than 13% of people in the study, and I can't remember the count. I think I wrote it down over here. Hold on a second. It was 6,000 something people. 6,070 people over a span of 8.84 years. And again, the title of the study is, Does Long-Term Relationship Kill Romantic Love? 12% are in love and 3% are in a state of obsession or bliss. I think that's why most guys would want to get married, is they think that they're going to be in a state of obsession or bliss with their wife into perpetuity and be granted access to lots of enthusiastic sex whenever they want it. And that's not the reality that most men experience when they get into it. And some of that data supports that, suggesting that most people that are still together over 8.84 years don't even like each other. So you're saying that, yeah, the divorce rate is, I don't know, 40 something percent or whatever it happens to be. Then you got to look at the people that are staying together out of maybe convenience because they're too cowardly to leave. They're not good enough looking to leave. They might be poor. They might have other anchors sort of tying them down. But there's a lot of people that stay in long-term relationships that don't even like each other. Like, the chances of you being in love with your spouse is very low.
So what?
Yeah,
so what? So the question here that I'm asking you is,
well, the point that I'm making is,
man wants to have
kids in long-term relationships, because you're saying it's worth
it. But
let's live in a way that look like marriage, and I'm telling you, the data suggests that that's not reflective of what.
Here's the problem with the argument, where it holds no muster and it doesn't even contend with what I'm asking you. What I'm asking you is, if you want to have kids, you want to have children, and you want good outcomes for the children.
Yeah, and the other thing, we are not going to be able to predict, like, we're not going to really have data on the new forms of marriage that come to be. Oh, $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Phil. Like, a lot of people are going to come up with ways around getting married, and we're not going to really see the outcomes for the kids for like 20 years. I think that, I think in the future, male surrogates are going to produce some of the like Einsteins of the world. But I'll be almost dead by the time I really get that data. Oh my God, a $50 super chat. You didn't have to do that. Keep up the good work, Pearl. Looking good. Love your channel. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Made my day. Thank you. You guys are so nice. Thank you.
What other than marriage, especially from a religious perspective, is going to create better outcomes for the children, Rich? That's the question. Now, you keep defaulting to, what about me, the father? What about me, this guy? I get that.
Worthwhile for men, so I'm talking about men, right? Like, this is the angle. This is the prompt.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
I'm always trying to bring it back to men.
But you see how men want to have kids,
sure,
and so they want their kids to have good outcomes, and
sure.
so
right, but they want like their own kids, and the only way that they own their children is through surrogacy. You cannot, like, the only way you can be a patriarch, like, because you can't be a patriarch if the only way you're a patriarch is if the woman decides. Like, she has to decide. You have to be able to fire her. There has to be an enforcement, and there's just no way a man can enforce it. So, yeah, assets are not even the biggest issue. Losing the children is, and unfortunately, I don't see any prenup in that case. And it's not even just, like, even if the man gets 50-50 custody, the wife undermines him constantly. Like, there's so many times where, like, the kid doesn't like the father because the mom's always in the kid's ear. I saw this happen in my hometown, with like kids with married parents. That happens in the same house. So until there's an enforcement, if you're an employer, you don't have authority until you can fire the person without losing the kids, right? Because most men aren't going to want to fire somebody with the kids in the house.
Oh, how are men going to have their kids have good outcomes?
Well, you can have kids and not live in a way that looks like marriage to the government.
Yeah. Okay. How?
You have kids with a woman,
Mm-hmm.
you don't live together, and you parent them together in separate homes.
What's that looks the same as divorce. That looks the same as a divorced arrangement to me. How is that different?
And that's the unfortunate reality of the world that we live in today.
What? So your solution is if you get, so here's your idea.
The only
Your
difference
idea
is the man is still the head of the household.
Hang on. Here's what you just said. If you get divorced,
Hang on,
one of the
The
am
biggest
I allowed to
difference
respond
is that
now?
the men are still the head of the household when they run the relationship that way versus
They're not the head of the household.
Do you know what? Another $50. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, I actually like the living separately idea, but there has to be, once the kids hit a certain age, they should live with the dad. Maybe like the mom takes care of them till they're 5. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I think age gap relationships are ideal. Like, you know, the speaker, like Trump's White House press secretary or whatever, she married that dude that was like 30 years older or 20. Hear me out. You marry a 50-year-old as a woman. You're 25. You marry a guy that's 50. You can actually go work. Now, you might say, Pearl, I thought we don't want women in the workforce. Well, we're in 2026, right? Hear me out. The mother's only going to destroy the kid, right? That's all we do. We're not too good on, like, so, okay, you have her watch it the first 3 years. After that, the dad, I mean, it's better for the child if the dad takes the kid. And the dad's going to be damn near retired. So he I don't know, what's retirement age? 65? But a lot of the time by 50, they can work part-time. They could, I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me more about your careers. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's just a thought exercise. The woman, she doesn't want to be a mom anyway. The mothers today, they don't like about their kids. They don't care about their kids. So it's like, send her to work to do something she cares about. Yeah, mothers aren't good at teaching children responsibilities, speaking in general, not absolute. Yeah, so I thought about it and I'm like, she can go cheat at work. Who cares? He's got his kid, right? I mean, she won't, you could just like let her like cheat at work. Just let her and just pretend you don't know. Just pretend you don't know, you know. Pearl, one day you're going to regret all this woman hating content. You sound like a simp. I hope your balls drop one day. You know, the husband is supposed to keep the mom in check if she's effing up the kid. Men should not be the one to raise. No man signs up for being cheated. Yeah, but it's going to happen anyway, so you might as well adapt, right? Oh, no, I don't want to get cheated on. Well, it's 2026. It's 2026. You're probably going to get cheated on. I don't know why you don't just accept it. Oh, Pearl, I don't want to accept that. It's like, well, it's probably going to happen anyway. You might as well help her find the guy she's going to cheat with. You know what I mean? And then you could even work it out with the side dude, right? You could, if you put your emotions aside, right? You could say, hey, side dude, she's been an absolute cunt. Can you take her for a week? And then you could get a side chick too, right? Yeah, because it's like you don't want her to leave and take the kids, you know? Yeah, the husband's supposed to keep the wife. I agree with that, but what authority do they have to do that? So I'm just saying. Oh hell no! Well, it's going to happen anyway. So I'll just continue.
How?
Sorry?
How are they the head of the household if you're not even living together? There is no household.
You're paying for everything.
Yeah. So your solution is have two separate houses. So you're paying double for two separate houses, and then split parenting time. Split parenting time with the woman.
What's that?
Okay, I want to see something. Average mortgage cost per month. Let's see. All right, the average mortgage cost is $2,000. Okay, average apartment cost. It's got to be higher than that. It says $2,000 to $2,300. Okay. And the average apartment is 13 to 30. Okay. This seems low to me, but okay. Yeah, I'm just saying you could because it would be kind of nice when she's acting up, you could banish her. Like you could send the woman to the other house and say you're banished till you come back with a nice attitude. And then she's like, oh, I don't want to. And then you just take the kid and leave. But then she'll call the cops. You see, it's the same problem.
The idea here is,
I guess then you could leave and say, well, I'm banishing myself until you become more pleasant. Oh, no, I'm going to call Tyrone. Well, she's going to call Tyrone anyway. So
pay for two different domiciles and then split parenting time with the woman. Now, if we had a divorced relationship, you would be living in two domiciles and splitting the parent time with the woman. So if the risk of divorce is, well, you may not be able.
You got to grow up, dude. Do you think get a Ring camera? It's going to happen anyway. Women, when they want to cheat, they'll find a way. Oh no, she might bring someone over to the house. Okay, then she might get banged out in her car. Oh no, that would never happen to me. Are we going to grow up yet? Could we just be adults here? Well, we got to be reasonable here. Women, marriage is just going to be for the upper class anyway. I don't think this is and plus she could get like a teaching gig. Or if he's 50, he could be almost retired, you know. Anyways.
We'll see your kids, and you may have to be paying for your
thing at a time. I don't think that men are needed to do much of the parenting when children are small.
Let me finish my point.
You're talking about parenting, right?
Yeah, let me finish my point and then respond to it. Then respond to it after I finish it. Your worldview just showed that there's no distinction. If I get a divorce, I have to pay for my wife's new living or ex-wife's new living arrangement in a new domicile through child support, and then I have to take care of the kids. Under your view, you're just saying, go ahead and get cut right to the end and go ahead and begin paying for her domicile and support. It's literally, you're just asking men to live like they're divorced.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think it would be living like you were divorced. I think I said this last time. Because like you guys could hang out. Okay, let's say he works 9 to 5. He comes over 2 or 3 nights a week for dinner, puts the kids to bed, maybe spends the night 2 days a week. And then on the weekends, the whole family spends it together. So, like, I don't really think that's the same thing. It's more like living like you have a baby mama. Yeah, it's like living like, and baby mamas and baby daddies, they can't stay away from each other. I mean, if you want to see a love that lasts a lifetime, you look at baby mamas and baby daddies, they'll have whole new marriages and still be banging. You know what I mean? That's a love that lasts a lifetime. That's something that lasts a lifetime.
There's no difference.
Yeah, there is a difference because the court, well, hear me out, I'll explain it to you.
All right.
The court is running the show when you get divorced. Women run the show when you get divorced. They leverage family law for their benefit. They're getting 80% of the custody orders. Whenever there's child support that's required, it flows from the father to the mother. If there's alimony that's arranged, 97% of the time it goes from the father to the mother. And she controls most of the outcomes in a unilateral fashion when it comes to the family courts. But if you're with a woman and she says, hey, I love you, and you say, I love you too, sort of thing, and she says, let's have a family, I'd like to have kids, you say, fine. But here's my boundary. I can't live in a way that looks like marriage to the government. So I'm going to pay for a house. I'll rent a house. I'll look after you. I'll come and visit you and the kids. But we can't live in a way that looks like marriage to the government.
Now, Rich, what prevents the woman?
Can someone do the math on how much you would have to make for that to make sense? Am I going to react to Rachel being on Joe Rogan? Maybe later or tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow.
Since there's children involved, what prevents that woman from going and pursuing child support anyway and just breaking up with you?
She can, but she doesn't get anything else.
This doesn't mitigate anything.
Yes, it does.
No,
you don't have to lose half your shit.
You're already paying for half of their shit. You're paying for all their shit.
No, you don't lose half of your assets, Andrew.
Plus, maybe find a bitch with some family money or with like a decent job. I mean, you need $450K to make that work. Okay. I mean, do kids need a house? I just feel like there's got to be other options,
Yes, you do. You're already paying half your assets so this woman can live apart from you.
You're not living in a way that looks like marriage to the government. You're not married. You're not living in a way that looks like marriage to the government. You understand the difference.
No.
Right? See, no. I would want to ask Rich what the logistics that, like, how would that look? The people that see, here's the thing. Andrew doesn't know what he doesn't know, right? So, like, how does he know that is a bad idea? Like, again, we're not really going to see how this plays out for another 10, 20 years. Maybe you tell the woman, hey, if you're still here when the kid's 7, we can get a house, but I need a 7-year. I think that would be reasonable, right? You say 7-year investment of your time. And when the kid's 8 and they need a backyard to like run and stuff, we will get a house. The parents in the chat, what age do you think? Because like if a baby's in an apartment, is it really going to remember it? Like, I mean, I don't remember anything from before I was like 4. How necessary is the house? Like, how many square feet? How many square feet at what age does the kid need? I mean, there's like parks outside, in Japan, they all live in apartments. Those kids seem well behaved, You could even get like a townhouse, like in a city, in an apartment next door. Like you could live on the same road. Anybody? Any comment on the house, apartment? Trailer kids live in a 4x4 and they call it legal. I'm honestly asking the parents' observations for how much space the kids need. I don't know. I'm just thinking like an apartment's like 800 to 1,000 square feet. You can get like a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah. Under 5, are they going to remember it? That's what I'm asking. What age? I'm not a parent. I don't know. So, small kids need a lot of space. Kids from 1 to 12 just need a bedroom. 13 to 18 own room. Okay, because we're having 1 to 2 kids anyway, so odds are you're getting 1 kid. I'm so tired of the cope of people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of kids." No, you're not above statistics. You're getting 1, maybe 2. Oh, but I'll find a girl. Oh, I bet you will. Do I think the child's environment in the first 5 years of life is not important? Well, I didn't say it wasn't important. I just want to know how much space you guys need. Like, didn't people used to live in 1-bedroom houses? Like, am I tripping? I grew up in a 3-bedroom. Mom had 1 bedroom. The other 2 were with me and 2 brothers. Shared with me. I mean, did you feel traumatized by that? I'm just asking. Because there's 3-bedroom apartments. So you could get 2 apartments in the same building. I mean, is that absurd? Like, you get 2-bedroom apartments. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
And here's why.
For family law to force a man, to compel a man to pay alimony, it has to, you have to be married, or you have to live in a way that looks like marriage to the government. So if you want to go about it a certain way, we're talking about a strategy here now at this point.
Yeah.
If you want to apply a strategy to the game to sort of circumvent some of the risk profiles, then that's one way to do it. That's just one way to do it. I mean, there's other ways that we can.
Yeah, but let's focus on this one real quick, because to me, it's incoherent. The idea here is the woman can still pursue.
It's incoherent because it doesn't align with your worldview with Christianity.
No, it's incoherent because when it's applied to what it is that you're trying to avoid, you're just skipping to the thing you were trying to avoid in the first place. The idea here is that if you get a divorce, you're going to split assets. The idea and be paying towards your ex-wife's new life. That's what you're trying to avoid. Under your view, though, you're just doing the same thing. You're just paying for her assets in the same. Hang on.
Well, at least she can't take a house if you're renting.
Hang on, in the same exact way, and she can still pursue legal action through the kids. That doesn't stop her from doing that at all. Yeah, and you have taken out the risk mitigation now.
Yeah, Japan's already doing it. I'm gonna make a decision. If that gives the man more leverage, I think it's better for the kids to have less space and more leverage for the man. I'm going to take that less. Yeah.
Of religion. So there actually seems like there's an incentive for her to do that.
The remedy that she can apply for will be child support, right?
Yeah.
She can't apply for alimony. She can't apply for half of his shit because they're not living in a way that looks like marriage. The state will always make sure the children are looked after. That's what they do. So
there's no avoiding the state.
Well, let's just agree on something. Like some of the big.
Okay, I shared a bedroom until I moved out at 18, 5 kids in 2 bedrooms early on and homeschooled. Okay, did you think that? Were you traumatized by that? Be honest. If you were, let me know. But I don't know. I thought people used to, and this is rich coming from me. I grew up in a giant house. So I would not know. I don't know, but.
Risks for men are what? Child support, alimony, and the loss of half of their assets, yeah?
Yeah.
So you just eliminate 2 of those risks. And the only thing that you would have to deal with is child support versus marriage, where she can take half of your shit, alimony, and child support.
You hang on. You haven't done that exactly. So no, you haven't eliminated this risk. So here's why you haven't eliminated it. You're still paying out just like you were divorced. You're still paying out just as though you were divorced for this woman to be taking care of your kids for half her assets, and you're living apart from her. And what this does is this also creates a massive problem, which is that the outcomes for the children are still not going to be as good as if they were at home with mommy and daddy together, because we have all the data in the world to provide for this. That in split households,
how much data do you have on the model that I just described to you as a solution to
that would be your burden, not mine.
Well, it's one version.
Yeah, because Rich is. I know people said Andrew won the debate, but it's just these are 2 types of conversations. That's why they can't have it. Andrew is talking about idealism. Rich works with guys to minimize risks. Rich is going to know more about the best way to minimize your risk than Andrew, because Andrew he does debate, so he wants to be right. Rich wants a step-by-step plan.
No, but that would be your burden. You would need to show me the proof that works better than the model of being heavily religious and in marriage for mitigation. That wouldn't be on me to prove to you. It'd be on you to prove to me.
Well, they're not going to study something like that, but I can tell you from evidence that I've seen that it works quite well.
What evidence?
People that I know that do it.
That's anecdotal. That's no place in a debate. You can appeal to anecdote.
Not a lot of people that do this, Andrew.
Yeah, but I think you should accept. I think I wish that we could accept anecdotes from subject matter experts, because again, you're going to know more from boots on the ground than you're ever going to get from like a stupid study.
Like you realize
that's anecdotal.
Right, but you understand that men are having to become creative when it comes to the notion of having children without losing their shit. One of the other things you see guys trying to use to solve this problem is surrogacy, which is another bizarre one, right? Then you don't have the mom involved at all.
Yeah, but that's only going to be available to men who have wealth.
I did the math. 60 grand, you get you a kid. 60 grand for a kid. That's about the cost of a divorce and child support. It's cheaper. You're just paying up front. If you can save 60 grand to get you a kid. I am for surrogacy. I'm for it. I think more men should do it.
So become wealthy.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, this creates a massive problem. Most men are not going to become wealthy.
No,
most people are not going to become wealthy.
If you're not successful, then you have to follow the masses. This is why so many guys get destroyed, because the game is rigged against them. The population has no real fair way to navigate relationships and children consecutively.
Yeah, but here's the problem that you have here with this analogy. The first is, when you appeal to an anecdote, if I were to give you a similar anecdote, I know a lot of guys who do that and it doesn't work out for them, you wouldn't believe me, because that doesn't tell us anything. That's one.
No, but I would ask for more specific examples. I would say, okay, who? Because liars, like people that say I know a person, like, okay, if you said to me, I said marriage is a bad deal for men, right? And I said one of the worst divorces I ever saw was at the same church as Michael Knowles. And they said, that's an anecdote. You're lying. And I would say, no, this was a guy who was in his mid-30s. He met a girl at an Orthodox church, or in a traditional Latin Mass church, and she was from Eastern Europe, and she stole his kid, brought it back to Europe. Like, I could go into detail about this couple. Even if I wanted to be a little bit more broad, I could still offer specific details. More like people that are lying, they tend to be more broad, right? They can't come up with, there's some psychopaths out there, but
And the second problem here is, one thing about marriage that's useful for us is being able to track divorce. That's really easy because it all goes through
lots of data on that.
Yeah, we got lots of data on divorce and the statistics around it.
Yeah.
And the problem that you have here is that you're saying, well, men are getting destroyed because of how many of these, marriages end in divorce. But that's actually only true of some groups. Some groups, your risk of divorce is very, very small. It's very tiny. It's well within what I would consider.
Again, what is the difference in risk for divorce for people that are Christians versus non-Christians?
It depends on which type of Christian we're talking about. You're nominal Christian. You're on.
These stats aren't good. I can't remember the ifs, ands, or buts of why they're not good, because God, it was. I don't know how these people remember every little detail, but oh my God, I can't even remember. I did a video on it though. It's like I'll do a video on it and I'll still forget why, because it's just not that interesting to me. It's just not
par with the national average. If you're devout Catholic or devout Orthodox, it's down to 12% to 18% versus 40%.
12%. That's still like 1 in 10.
12 versus 40.
That's a huge, like we're talking about now, well within acceptable risk. If it's the case that 5 to 10% of people who ever have a drink are going to
but I would have to ask, what do they dictate as a failure? Because do they include the men that don't get laid? You know, so
become alcoholics,
Right.
you wouldn't say that that's so much risk that you should never have a drink. Like that's within what I would consider acceptable barriers of risk. You're now part of an 80 to 90% of success rates rather than you only view it as 10 to 12% failure rate. I view it as an 80 to 90% success rate.
No, but just because you're together, that doesn't mean it's a successful marriage. And I just know them personally. So I'm like, how do you guys not see this? I mean, we've talked about how many, and I'm not, maybe, I don't know, but like, I'm like, about personally, people we know that like, like, bro, they're cooked. It doesn't even matter if they're still like, okay, I have a friend. Her mom completely turned the kids against the dad. They figured that out when they're older, but she's like psychotic and fat. I mean, is that successful? They're still married, you know?
Still have way too many variables when it comes to marriage, even if you are a Christian, when it comes to the churches, the pastors that you're dealing with, who she is, you know, as far as a woman before you marry her, the fact that women always reserve the right to change their mind at any given time about you later on down the road. We've seen many, many religious people get divorced and get absolutely fucking cleaned out.
Sure, but why don't the numbers then reflect it within the individualistic group?
I don't know. I haven't collected the data, but I mean,
I just gave
some of the data as well that I've talked about.
You can look at the data.
Trying to say that the Earth is warming when we all know that's not happening slowly.
Yeah, but hang on. There's a big difference between people producing warming models, which are vastly hypothetical and predictive, versus gathering data which is established because we just have raw numbers of how many people are divorced within which category, which group.
I mean, the vast majority of climate models, they try to point to statistics that are as accurate as possible, but
well, I mean, we have accurate records of how many Islamists have been divorced, man. That's not hard to gather. Yeah. That's not hard data to figure out. And so if that's the case,
for Hindu type of religion, since the divorce rate's lower, or for
I agree.
Living.
Yeah, actually, I agree. What I'm looking for is what is the things inside of these religious models that's keeping the divorce rate so low compared to the average. And I think that that's what's left out of the nuance of the discussion.
Okay, well, tell us.
Well, here's what's going on. And again, well-studied phenomenon is that.
But it's just, I don't know. I wish, Andrew, there's some things that just are not in your depth. Like, and they're not in my depth either, right? Like, I don't really care how many studies and how many debates I win. I will never be as knowledgeable as the people on the ground and the experts in the field. I just won't. I won't. I will never be able to talk about men's issues the way that a man. I mean, it's why I openly acknowledge that there's a lot of men that know the material better than me. And I point you guys to them because like, it's just true, you know, and the men that like work with and coach men, they just have way better insights. You know, whenever I want to know about a trend in the dating marketplace, I literally go to my friend who's just like, he's just a professional woman banger. Like and I just ask him, have you seen SSRIs in women's like things? Do you see this? Do you see that? And he can give me such good insights into the marketplace. That's way better than a study. Subject matter experts are better than studies. And in my opinion, you cannot become a subject matter expert. Like Andrew is a subject matter expert on debating, right? And maybe like on certain parts of history, you know, but you're just never going to compare to the boots on the ground ever, you know? So
religion operates on a support network. So you end up having people who have shared like-minded value structures, especially for your wife. Well, that's a big thing because if women are hanging out with like divorcees and they're hanging out with promiscuous women and things like that, they tend to often follow suit based on those social pressures.
Correct.
Men actually do this too.
Yeah, but again, social pressures. I just don't like that language because, and I mean, I'm sure I use language people don't like either. I don't like that language because it is insinuates women don't want to divorce their husband and take the kids. They're just like influenced. So
to a lesser degree, but they do it too, depending on the friend and in-group they have. They tend to do more or less degenerate behavior, depending on how those groups play out. When it comes to women, they do the same exact thing. But now if you have a support group and a support network that's like-minded and is focusing specifically on the same value structures, which is...
Yeah, but you guys push Sarah Stock. Enough said. Yeah, women can say anything. I mean, Sarah was, I mean, she was friends with your wife and she, like, who's a better person to tell her to not fuck Elijah than Rachel, you know? Who's better than her? Like, I bet if Sarah went to Rachel and she said, should I bang Elijah Schaefer? Rachel would have been like, yeah, don't do that. Well, yeah. So anyways, yeah, it doesn't really matter because women's friend groups. That's the other thing. Women could have religious friends at 20 and find a new friend group at 30. Do you know how many like cycles of friend groups women go through? It's like incredible.
Stay married. Here's what the role of the woman is, et cetera, et cetera. It creates a reinforcement in those communities, which mitigates against divorce. And it gives a support network to people having marital troubles. That seems to be what's going on. And that's not accessible to the general population outside of that.
So why are there still issues within the churches?
Well, again,
issues, in fact.
You're not going to,
and
you're asking.
The other thing that I would raise as well too, Andrew, is like, we talk about Christianity and I'm for it, man. Like, my mom's family is Christian Orthodox. I grew up in that space, like I understand it well. But America, where you live is mostly a Christian country. Wouldn't you say so?
No, it's mostly a nominal Christian country.
What's the difference between nominal Christian and Christian?
Yeah. So a nominal Christian. So, the trans debate, a person could say, I'm a woman. They're not actually a woman. You would agree, right?
So you're saying that they're calling themselves Christians, but they're not real.
Yeah.
Christians.
And the reason they're nominal, and we can make that distinguishment between nominal and non-nominal.
Real Christian.
Hang on. We can make the distinction between nominal and non-nominal.
Yeah, but it's that now it's going to go where you get to be the judge of morality. You get to pick who's moral. And that's what makes Christians so unlikable. It's like the audacity. You think you get to pick who's moral, really? Like, I mean, you can...
Based on how much they involve themselves in their church.
I just disagree with that. I disagree with that heavily because most of the men that I know that act in a religious manner do not go to church because they don't like the politics associated with church, because women tend to overtake the church and then they have to do all this bullshit when like the most moral people I know don't go to church. Sorry. I mean, like, and then I always get gaslit by people in church about this. They're like, "Oh, it's just the church you go to," and I'm like, "I'm the same religion as you. I grew up," and then they're like, "Well, it's just where you grew up," and I'm like, "Huh? Yeah, like." So now we're saying, okay, the people that so this is what essentially happens. The people that are involved in the church, they're the real Christians. And I'm like, so the people with the most free time, the people with nothing to do. I mean, that's why pastors kind of suck. These are just half the time, these are guys that don't want to work, So.
Many sacraments they partake in and how often they actually participate in that community. This is broken down by Pew for divorce stats and other organizations as well, which shows the reason like traditional Catholics have such a low divorce rate in comparison to the national average is because many of them partake in the church functions and the sacraments, which helps reinforce the ideology.
But it also, okay, you can have traditional Catholics, but it doesn't guarantee their kids will be. So like, okay, they might have a lower divorce rate, but it doesn't mean their kids will stay traditional Latin Catholic or whatever.
of the family, that they're supposed to work through marital issues rather than get divorced.
And it's just a different society. Like, people don't, I mean, again, I know somebody that's from that type of mass, and like all of the kids moved away. You're not in these like tight knit communities anymore. It's just not the same thing. They all moved to the cities,
including for the sake of the kids. That's why. So when people say America is mostly a Christian country, it's actually not factually true. It's mostly a nominal Christian country. It is true that like 65% or 70% of people will identify as being a Christian. But when you look at their behaviors in society, they act no different than a secularist non-Christian. They don't go to church. They don't participate in sacraments. They don't take their religion very seriously. It's called like cultural Christianity, but nominal Christianity is fine too.
All right. Well, I mean, since Jake invited me to do this conversation / debate with you, I was listening to any YouTube conversation you had with anybody, you know, James Sexton, Coach Greg Adams. There's been a few other ones where you've had these conversations, and you've changed your story in some of those conversations. I don't know if you've updated your beliefs, but I've heard you say in the past that the vast majority of America is Christian. But now you're
hang on,
saying that they're not
nominal Christian.
Okay, so this is new. So now this is a new model. You're saying.
Well, it's not a new model. What we're doing. So,
well, I mean, there's recordings out there of you.
When we're talking about specificity, and by the way, I reserve the right to update my worldview based on new information at all times, right? So whether or not
if I've ever said before today, Andrew.
Yeah. So if I've ever said before, you know, the United States is mostly a Christian nation, but didn't put in the caveat of nominal. It's actually irrelevant, right? I do think that it is the case that most people the majority of people identify as being Christian, but I'm trying to figure out what that means, right? So
yeah. So what I was going to get to is this. I mean, you know, if America is a Christian country or nominal Christian country, you know, let's call it, it's passed laws and legislation that aren't aligned with the religion, and it's created an environment that's hostile to its Christian, you know, participants.
Agreed.
So what's the solution to that, Andrew?
Well, the solution to this from a political standpoint is going to be likely the push for mass marriage reform.
Which would look like
well, it would look like exactly what you're talking about in Kentucky, where you start with grounding localized laws, which will do things like immediate custody disbursement between both couples, things like this. The groundswell of traditionalism, which is moving back into the mainstream, especially from the right wing, is now beginning to make more demands like this, and they have more access to the legislators to do this. That's step one. But in the interim time, we have to have some way in which children are still being produced and men don't lose hope, because all hope is lost. You're going to be part.
Yeah, but I don't sell hope. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing to lose hope. It's kind of freeing now. Like, I've just kind of, it's, I don't know how to put it. There's this freedom that just happens when you lose hope. There's a freedom, like you just feel so free. It's like, yep, the world's going to shit. Let's party, everybody. Pearl calls going church Christians self-righteous, pious, unlikable, hip. I mean, I didn't say that, but I guess if you're going to take the least charitable way to say it, yet they have lower divorce rates. Well, again, but that doesn't mean they have better marriages. Baby mamas and baby daddies, they have a lifelong bond. A bond stronger than most husbands and wives. You know? Yeah, because it's kind of like, you know, like if you accept my wife is probably going to cheat on me. If you accept that, then now you don't have to worry about it. You know, and just know women aren't that good of liars. So yeah, hold on. I'm going to go get the delivery I was talking to you about, but I'm going to make the screen full and play it for a little bit.
Part of this 40% statistic or 50% statistic and you're screwed. That's actually not the case. The case is that individually, if we break down various groupings, of the types of people who are getting divorced, some groups are at way higher risk than other groups. And that's factually true. And if you're a part of a group that has a very low risk of divorce, it suddenly becomes much more attractive to men to do. And they're less likely actually to get destroyed in a divorce because they're not even likely to get one in the first place.
So if we examine the change that's required, we realistically need to say no more to women. Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah.
What's the plan for that given the environment that we live in, not the environment that we ought to live in?
You mean the descriptive is? Like, what do we want to do about it right this second?
Because nobody's able to say no to women today.
What do you mean by that?
Everything that happened, well, the vast majority of things that happen in culture and politics is all to support a female first primary social order. It's all to make men less and make women more.
I don't disagree with that. I think that
feminism is the supremacy movement today. It's not about equality anymore. It's about destroying men.
Well, it's about removal of the patriarchy.
Yeah, it's about the removal of man from the household and making the state and women the head of the household. So that dynamic is shift completely. It's put everything on its head.
Mm-hmm.
So Christianity, as you idealize it, the ought to version of Christianity is not supporting.
I don't get why you keep saying that this is an ought when it's descriptively true right now as we speak. It is the case that these groups exist right this second as we speak, where your risk of getting divorced is greatly mitigated by just being part of these groups because they do tell women no. The traditional churches, tell women it's not perfectly idealized. It's a case right this second, right now. What do you mean?
In a perfect idealized church system, but the church system is not like that.
Yes, it is.
Compromised by toxic feminism.
Let me ask you a question. Can the Orthodox or Catholic Church have female deacons?
I don't know. I'm not.
No. Can they have priests who are female? No. Can they have women who are in positions of leadership? No. They're being told no all the time. They're being told no. You can't be in here. You're not allowed. So you're not allowed to be a deacon. You're not allowed to be a priest. You're not allowed to do any of that. They're being told no. And that's why you see the mitigation rate for like Orthodox Christians. Hang on. Orthodox Christians especially. The mitigation is so low, right, that your chance of getting a divorce if you're getting married inside the church and participating inside the church, it's abysmal. It's abysmally low. And so it's like, yeah, there are organizations which tell women no. And they do it all the time, and they won't let them in any position of leadership, and they do it all the time. And that's not in the future that's going to happen. That's right now. That's happening.
There's Orthodox churches that are pro-LGBTQ. Their messaging allowing for divorces in their churches today.
Yeah, they allow for divorce, but they allow for divorce under certain extremvery, same as Catholics. So if there's abandonment,
I'm not happy. I got bored.
No, not those. No, there's very few: adultery, abandonment, addiction. Those are really the only three in which you have any grounds to even petition the church for a divorce. And so that helps mitigate in a huge way divorces inside of these churches, because you're right. Most of the time women sue for divorce, it's for irreconcilable differences, not because of abuse, not because of abandonment, not because of cheating. They're mostly not pursuing divorces under those grounds. So these churches only allow it under certain circumstances.
Christians and will lower the divorce rates and everything will be fine.
Wait, say that again?
So your recommendation is everybody become devout Christians. Will lower the divorce rate to a level that's not risky and everybody.
No, I'm not. First of all, what I'm giving is a descriptor for if marriage is good in the West right now. Not even a prescription yet. Just a descriptor, and the descriptor is obviously for some groups it's fine, and for other groups, which is groups who are not part of the devout infrastructure of religion, it seems to be really bad for you guys. Really good for us, really bad for you, huh?
You still have a 12% divorce rate where men will get.
That's really low, dude.
Still,
that is really low, really low. Huh?
Can I just say, guys, just quickly? I think that you're kind of talking past each other a little bit in certain ways. So Andrew, you're coming from the religious aspect. Rich, you're coming from an aspect where your mitigations for these problems rely on you being a little bit more wealthy. So if you are looking at a guy, for example, who is between 25 and 30, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, doesn't have a deep spiritual life in any way, what do you think is the best thing for that sort of guy to do?
You're asking me?
Oh, both of
Like
you.
the average Joe?
Yeah, if the average Joe just doesn't have a deep spiritual life, or if the average Joe is living paycheck to paycheck.
I know Andrew would say, get a deep spiritual life. That'll solve your problems.
What do you think is the best for this guy to do?
I mean, that's a difficult one because he's got to enter into a conventional marriage. And that's what most of them try to do. They get them destroyed. Sorry, I'm just looking at the data for the devout Christian. Is that what they're called? Devout Christians?
No. So it depends. Yeah,
Or the
what we would be looking at, we'd be looking at denomination and then practice within denomination in order.
How many different denominations are there for Christians?
A lot.
Like how many?
What I would do, maybe the easiest way to parse it out would be to look at Catholics, Orthodox, and then Protestants. There's going to be the kind of major, but it does get into things like Lutheranism,
Orthodox, Catholic, Orthodox.
Wait, hold on.
And you're gonna have.
Hold on. I need to take a commercial break. We can come back to this. I need to cook some e-girls. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Bruh. Serious question. Why are so many Gen Z men drawn to influencers like Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate, even when their voices promote racism and only degrade women? You can dismiss them as incels or extremists if you want, but that description is lazy. Something real is happening to young men. First, young men feel like the culture has turned on them. For years, they were told masculinity is toxic, boys are dangerous, and men are the problem. What started as a movement to advance women often turned into a movement that treated young men like defects to be corrected. Okay, blah, blah, blah. This sounds like ChatGPT. All right, if decent leaders don't speak to young men, radicals will. A generation of young men is looking for meaning, strength, and purpose. What should I respond? You, please, e-girls, never stop being yourself. Okay, also, I heard Brett Cooper. I guess I've only done like 20 shows on her, so I can't believe it. She responded,
for his business, and the prediction said this kind of mindset might cost, because that does not seem like a happy, healthy, fruitful, productive life. One woman who
I guess she was cooking Myron and me. So let's see.
From Fresh and Fit obviously had a response, and he posted, "Yep, choose to go to a singles dating event versus just going. The fact that men aren't showing up isn't all. That women and feminism helped cause this. Like, I am not disputing that women effed around, they broke hearts, they this. Like, how is this new? Anyway, I digress. Moving on. Somebody else said, Floyd's paying cash to meet men. Men still don't care to show up. Truly the dark ages, and it's all women's fault. I have no sympathy for anyone involved except the bros." And again, like, I am not disputing at all that women and feminism helped cause this. Like, I am not disputing that women effed around, they broke hearts.
Not feminism, women.
They spent decades telling men that they are worthless, that masculinity is toxic, that they like that. Obviously,
I think the average woman just would rather do anything else than date men. I don't always know if it's intentionally malicious or whatever, but like, women would just like, when you were 18 to like 23, you'd rather do a talk show than get married, go to college. Threw it back at UCLA. It just is what it is, I threw it back too. We all threw it back, just is what it is, take the L.
Had an impact on male-female relations on the modern dating landscape. But I would also argue, just as an aside, again, hopefully I don't piss people off, the dating events are naturally a bit more up women's alley. So like, the fact that men aren't showing up isn't super surprising.
Now she's coping, right? Hold on. I'm going to make this full screen for 1 second.
surprising to me, like, especially because women often travel in groups. I feel like that's a joke in rom-coms that like they travel in a pack. Like it becomes a social event. They go with a bunch of girlfriends, they make a night out of it. And like I highly doubt that their male counterpart peers are doing the same thing. Like I highly doubt that they would choose to go to a singles dating event versus just going and grabbing a beer and watching the game. Can I get what I'm saying? If you want to be smug
Yeah, but
about all of this and point to feminism and say that it's all women's fault, like that's fine. Like again, that makes sense, but this can't be victory. This can't be the end of the road, and we're gonna get to that. Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit obviously had a response, and he posted, "Yep, I predicted this 6 years ago. Female desperation is rising, and I'm here for it."
It's true. There's accounts dedicated for women approaching men, because yeah.
Now, first of all, before we get into the rest of his reaction, I feel like Myron is intentionally slanting this like women are showing up in droves and freaking out and being so anxious and in anguish. But I don't know if a dating
Like you intentionally tried to not flirt with, tried to slant you flirting with clavicular.
event with 15 women and 5 men is really a great representation. And those are the actual numbers from the event that the New York Times reporter went to. 15 women. Like that is what we're dealing with here. And I also think that women
Yeah, but this is all over the country. She didn't even look into this. She's so young. Hold on. Let me get my dog in. Okay, dog, come on in. Come on in. Okay. All right, so she could have did like 2 minutes of research. I know I reacted to a girl in Atlanta that's happened to. I don't know, Doug MPA, if you know it, put it in the Signal chat. I know a few months ago. Is my Wi-Fi not going? God doesn't want me to be right now. Man. This is... Here we go. Here we go. Different one.
What's up? Welcome back to Alpha Central. I'm your host.
You're supposed to make us like boys who are like, I don't chase women. Okay, then go find.
Dallas women shocked after 0 men showed up to their singles event. See, happens all the time. Doug, I mean, I found it, Doug. It's fine. Yeah, like it's happening everywhere. I'm on the pulse. This is why I should get the N-word pass, because I'm on the pulse with all the trends. I never stop working. Look, every time I talk to someone, I'm looking for the trends in their life.
are basically
She's not on the pulse.
doing what they've always tried to do, which is date. And people have been calling women desperate for an eternity. Again, this is not some new phenomenon. Like a desperate woman is an age-old trope. Like there were desperate women in Jane Austen novels that were made fun of. Like again, not new. However, I will concede that maybe this desperation is taking new forms. Like they are now stealing men's salads at sweet.
It's not the same. I mean, what was that? That you're just gonna nag? You're right, but not like. All right, Doug's gotta. Let's see.
Get single men to come to a party. I have a restaurant in Brooklyn and I want to throw a singles mixer for Valentine's Day. And all of the women in my DMs are very enthused, but no men.
Yeah, see. Okay.
Grades for crying out loud. Just watch this TikTok.
Guys, the dating scene is getting so bad in New York City that I am seeing on TikTok there are girls going into Midtown during the week and stealing Finance Bros salads for lunch. And then looking their name up from the salad order on LinkedIn and then messaging them through there and being like, hey, oh my God, so sorry, I grabbed your salad. Like, let me just make it up to you and buy you a new one. And that's how they're like sliding in, which honestly, smart. Why are we stealing men's salads? Like why can't they just come up to us at a bar? Like,
okay, well, they're not coming up to you at a bar because number one, rejection is awful, but also they don't want to be Me Too'd. And for the last however many years,
Okay, what was this bullshit? So you just nagged him for no reason?
Which is why I think that good men.
Okay, let me keep going. Now, apparently, oh, wait, here, all right.
women. Like, play the games, sleep around, hookup culture, all of that. So, Alex Cooper, I think you're to blame.
No, I mean, Brett, we could go into your life. Okay, let's just be honest here. I don't know who the hell you gave it up to before. I don't really care, right? I don't spend my life wondering who you banged before you met your husband, but I'm not stupid. And I know a bitch that's been on her own since 16, she's banging somebody, right? You can play the innocent card to your husband or whatever. I'm not stupid. Okay. Your husband, he might be stupid. I don't know, I'd say you've banged at least 5 other dudes. At least. I'm going to be so kind. You've only banged 5 other dudes. We count head here. I don't think it was 1 or 2. I think it was at least 5. We count the Gluck Gluck 9000. We count getting finger blasted. I would say at least 5 dudes. Okay. So, were you brainwashed? No. It was just you wanted to do it, right? You got horny. It's normal. Like, we're adults here. You get horny, you want to throw it back, We all been there. She'll pretend she's never been there. But every woman's been there, It's like, it is what it is. I'm not judging, But I don't really like this rhetoric that feminism convinced. It's like women didn't... You were in a sorority. Okay, what frat guy did you bang? Like, if I really wanted to do a deep dive on, I would never do this. I would never. It's like I would just ask people in your sorority, right? Women talk too much. You probably told some bitch that hates you now. Like, there's some frat guy, probably the hottest, maybe not the hottest, but like top 5, because she's like a mid. In a sorority, she'd probably be pretty ugly, actually. Sorority girls at like hot, at big schools, not like she's better looking than normal, but like, you know what I mean? At big schools, you're just not going to anyways. So, okay. Yeah. So I'll just,
Anyway, he goes on and he says, now they're done. They'd rather grind video games, stack cash, hit the gym, or just live free than blow thousands chasing entitled, unappreciative women in loud bars or on apps. Men are fed up with the disrespect, the hypergamy, the attitude. The men going their own way red pill trend isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Year after year, more men will opt out. Women ignored the warning signs, and now they're living with the consequences. I talk about this extensively in my second book, Why Women Deserve Even Less, which is a sequel to my first book, Why Women Deserve Less, link below, which is just comical. But like, okay, again, seriously, I understand your analysis on why this happened. I sympathize with that. I get it. I can point to it. But like, are we really seeing this as a victory? That this is like a good thing? It seems totally backwards and completely unhealthy to claim that the consequence is actually the positive way forward. And thankfully,
Bruh, did you just say that a consequence is not the positive way forward? So you're saying women shouldn't have This is incredible. I mean, e-girls, please. This is my plea to you. Please don't ever stop saying dumb stuff on podcasts. I would never. Look, I say dumb stuff too at times, and I make a lot of people's careers. And you guys are about to make mine, so I'm going to continue.
We do not live in a completely deranged society because many commenters agreed. Like, one guy said, you say this as if it is a good thing. Congratulations on doing your part to drive a wedge between men and women. Another person said, 6 years later and the master plan is opt out and play video games. Revolutionary. If your grand solution to modern dating is retreat and resentment, that is not power. That is avoidance with branding. I loved that comment. And let's be honest, it is branding because this is his business. What is happening now is profitable for his business and the messages that he espouses. This comment was just wild. And
she has gone full feminist since getting married. This is incredible. Please don't stop.
Remarkable, so I had to read it. But this person said, you have correctly diagnosed the rigged game, but the men going their own way movement is a fatal prescription.
Well, some of the men going their own way don't have a choice. They're ugly, chopped, right? And, it's like 2% of women are marriageable. And even if you get a marriageable one, like Brett Cooper would be in the marriageable statistic, assuming she doesn't have an incurable STD, right? And I'm assuming she paid off her college debt with the money she's made at the Daily Wire. So, but Brett, We got to be real here. All the men have to deal with that marry women like you looking at clavicular the way you did, you know? That's a lot of men just don't want to do it. So
opting out to grind video
and now she's nagging about video games. It's like, okay, are we gonna nag you about the pound of makeup that you were wearing? Shut up.
Games and stack cash is the path of exile, a retreat masquerading as true independence. By withdrawing, you avoid the pain and friction of the modern dating market, but you abdicate the throne entirely. A true king doesn't surrender to the chaos or hide in digital comfort. He burns the false map, masters the laws of the territory, and builds an unbreakable frame. Do not mistake a comfortable cage for a kingdom. I love that. Take that comment to heart. Back to the point. The problem is, in my opinion, is that I think that these commenters and myself, people like us, and these red pill bros are operating from completely different premises. Like the commenter that just left that reply, he still believes in conquering challenges, in making society better, in getting married, and building strong families.
It's just the audacity that you think you can tell men what to do. You're not traditional or feminine in any way because you think that you have, and neither am I, right? We suck. We're women, you know? But like, you don't have the right to tell men what to do. So you don't know anything about the male experience. And you're going to tell men they're weak if they give up? Fuck you. They're doing hard jobs. You're talking into a microphone. Like, I just think that like it's unfortunate that when you talk into a microphone, you become higher status in society, because I really think we should be the lowest status people. People hate us, but we're still considered like high status people. Maybe not me, right? But like a lot of these people in these prestigious, you know, companies, da 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 da. So it's just like we should be the lowest because we don't do anything.
This whole red pill movement, the men going their own way, they just seem concerned with tearing it all down.
I need to comment. Did I comment? Oh, I said never change e-girls.
And essentially getting revenge. Like they're angry, and obviously, again, we can all understand why. I think all of us get it, but their solution is to burn it all down and opt out. That, to them, is success. But at what cost? Because
yeah, so again, you're a high status woman with the money for servants, right? So I'm making a show I'm going to do soon. I'm doing a lot of research for it, so I'm not ready yet, but it's going to talk about high status women, how they've actually never cooked and cleaned. They've always had servants, right? And when you think about it, it's not really changing. The only difference is that women are becoming high status through debt now. So like young women at 18 get a bunch of debt, and now they have servants at college, right? They have, you know, people catering to they have the meal, you know, the meal services at college, and they graduate, they get Uber Eats. So they're not cooking, they're not cleaning. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. So women enter the servant or the high status, like they're basically living the lives of queens. You know, most women in all of history didn't get to travel like that. Now women are getting to live that, but they're getting to live it through credit card debt or useless jobs like me and Brett have, you know? So she, as like essentially is in the position of a queen, right? And she's saying, oh, well, you peasants keep working. Peasants work for me. Peasants. It's like, well, and then they always cope, the conservative. Oh, I work so hard. No, you don't. If you don't work like 12-hour days, Uber Eatsing and doing this bullshit, you don't work that hard. Okay. I mean, some of these jobs suck. They suck ass. I wouldn't want to do them. I'm going to be honest. I would if I had to, but like, I wouldn't, you know.
that does not
I know I could be more useless, right? I could be HR. But it's not like, you know, it's not like we're changing society here.
Seemed like a happy, healthy, fruitful, productive life. One woman who was brave enough to jump into his comment section said, this kind of mindset might feel empowering in the short term, but it is built on resentment more than reality. Yes, dating is messy right now. Yes, some men feel overlooked, but turning that into women deserve less just keeps everyone stuck in a cycle of blame instead of growth. Opting out is a choice. So is
Yeah, so now women are freaking out because they are not going to have slaves. They essentially want, like, they need men to Uber Eats them. They need men, they need men to deliver them food and do all this stuff. And men are saying, F it. I'm not going to live like a slave if I don't get anything in return. Why would I be a slave for nothing, So and now essentially queens in society, high status women, they're nagging the slaves and the peasants, right? Like, essentially, we've just kind of redistributed society to where most women live like queens until they're like 35. And then women enter the servant class. Like, if you look at the nail techs, they're all usually older, hairstylists, whatever. But like when they're young, they live like queens, and then enter the servant class later. Some women like Brett, and that's why women don't value. I was thinking about this. I'm going to do a more in-depth show. But I was thinking about what, like, all the rich guys I know don't care about cooking and cleaning. They do not care. Sorry. I should say rich and high status, because women, when they go, they don't just want money, they want status. So like the ideal for women is like Brad Pitt, right? Do you think Brad Pitt really cares if his wife cooks? Like he's like 50. He's probably either learned to cook on his own and has meals he likes, or like he can afford like someone to meal prep or whatever. Like they don't really care. And I was really thinking about this, and I'm like, women prioritize events and going out because they're more likely to meet the high status men, and the cooking skills, like they just don't really like need them. Sometimes there's high income men that like they don't participate in the status game. So like my dad maybe would be one of them, where like he doesn't care about the events. He doesn't like that stuff, just wasn't appealing. Like he didn't play in that game of like status. Does that make sense? So they tend to care more about money, but the men that women are gunning for, they really don't care about cooking. Well, when I think of the servant class, like I think of Uber Eats, hair salons, nail salons, like, because I was thinking about, it's just a new equivalent. Back in the day, like women would have, like queens would have people to help them get ready in the morning. And women basically have that now with like people to cut their hair, people to dye their hair, people to do their nails. Like it's just women are in the like they graduate into the servant class. Brad Pitt is 62. Status makes you richer. Yeah, I know it does in some industries. Not all though. Not all. Like my dad doesn't really, I mean, I guess he'd be high status in his company growing up, but like I don't know, the games in the cities. Yeah, so
improvement. So is learning how to build healthier dynamics without framing half the population as the enemy. And also, this is such an important lesson to learn, even outside of dating in this whole issue that we're going through. Like as humans, it is much easier to just shut down and walk away and avoid things when they are hard or when things are painful. It is easy.
Like, do you understand why you saying this as a commentator? Like let's even take a woman with an easier job, like a hairstylist who has to cut hair for 12 hours straight, or a trucker being told by you to do things when they're hard. The actress turned commentator. No? Okay. Don't see the irony.
Easier to drop out of that course that you're worried about flunking in college. It is easier to close yourself off from people so that you don't get hurt. It is easier to
in the 1970s, women were in the US were still cooking family dishes. Yeah, like middle class women, right? Middle class women have cooked and cleaned. Lower class women have cooked and cleaned. Upper class have managed servants. You think Melania knows how to cook? Do you think Trump cares? Because upper class women, their job was reputation management. So like they would host like I was looking up the average day in an upper class woman, and it was like the servants come help her get ready. She might have 2 or 3 outfit changes. She does breakfast, hosts dinner parties. It's like, I don't know. I'm like, that is a completely, yeah.
Lift harder at the gym because it's painful, like whatever that might be in your life. But as human beings, and I often have to remind myself of this, we only grow and
let me get this straight. You want them to listen to you when you have to be reminded to do hard things as a commentator. A commentator. Like, I just want to show the equivalent. This is like a queen saying to the peasants, guys, make sure you do things. Make sure you do things that are hard. And they're looking at you like you're a queen. You're a queen. Now I know I'm a queen too, right? I mean, I don't want it to sound like, but the way I live, right, it's better than a lot of women have lived in all of history. I was really lucky with the family I'm born into. It doesn't mean you don't work hard at certain things, but it's just not going to compare to the grueling labor of being a peasant. It's not.
Better and get stronger when we push through and overcome things. And also when we pray and develop a relationship with God and use Hallow. Now let's
shut the fuck up. You're using God to sell an app?
Is not meant to be comfortable. It is about cutting
my God.
through the noise, dropping what weighs you down, and doing the work to become.
You're using Jesus to sell ads? Send the fucking asteroid. Oh my God, I can't take this. I cannot take conservative media. I cannot. If she's Catholic, I'm going to lose it. I am going to lose it. If you are Catholic, if you have converted to Catholic in the last 3, fuck! Oh my God, you don't get to. Oh my God, I disavow. Griff did not look it. I'm barely Catholic, okay? You don't deserve Catholicism. You don't deserve it. If you're gonna use it for money,
who God is calling you to be. On Ash Wednesday, Hallow launched Lent Pray 40, The Return, which is a 40-day prayer journey to Easter featuring Jonathan Rumi, Mark Wahlberg, Father Mike Schmitz, my favorite, Sister Miriam James, Chris Pratt, and so many more. It is centered on the parable of the prodigal son, and it reminds us that we are never too far gone. You will find daily prayer and meditations, Friday facts, honest conversations, and powerful Sunday homilies. So if you are done carrying the weight and you're ready to come home, Pray 40, The Return is waiting for you on Hallow. You can get 3 months free at hallow.com/Cooper. And guys, I can think of no other better way to honor God than by protecting babies. And thanks to you guys, last year, Preborn helped rescue over 80,000 babies. And today, you can help save even.
I'm skipping this ad. Bruh.
Brett, again, that is preborn.com/Brett to get involved today. Again, that is preborn.com/Brett to get involved today. So back to the story. The point I'm trying to make here is that, yes, we get it. Be smug all you want. Be happy about this. But this is.
Brett, Cooper, and Pearl are part of a human. If I get dragged into this human trafficking thing, I am going to. If Candace O, I don't think she would. I've made like 1 million streams on her. She's never responded. But I swear to God, if I get pulled into this, if I get put into this conspiracy theory, we're going to have beef, okay? Beef.
Not a victory for society. It is not a victory for anything other than you and your business and your brand. And
Bruh, did you let me get this straight. I think I hate her more every day. I hate her more every day. I went from a fan to pure hatred, I think, now. So let me get this straight. She is saying it builds your brand when you just used God to sell an ad. I quit.
What this New York Times reporter found in his tiny dating event might not be indicative of the entire dating landscape. For example, take this TikTok.
The rules of grifting: always use God and then play the victim.
If you're a pretty successful woman trying to date in New York City, you might genuinely be cooked. People talk about how it's the greatest city in the world for dating. For guys, yeah, there's a 70-30 split. Everyone here has a college degree. Women are smarter than men these days. For being one of the most diverse, beautiful cities in the world, A lot of the guys here are very bland. You want a finance bro? You want a traditional like 5'7" douchebag? Go for it. But then the dudes.
How do you just covered Murray Hill, who got like 1,000 matches as a woman on a dating app when he bruh.
That do well here with women have all the options in the world and have massive egos. And there can be a paradox where as a successful, attractive woman, you have all the options, but how many of those options do you really want? And do you want to commit and would want to commit to you? And I think
This is simping.
a lot of women really want guys to be respectful and be confident and go up to them in person, but it's not happening. And because so much of dating is online dating, you get in this cycle of all the options in the world and yet no options at all.
So similarly, he is arguing that men, especially that top percentage of men, hold all the power in New York City, that they have all of the options. And
Yeah, but women are choosing to chase Chad. And there's still, I bet if it's 30-70 split, men to women, then women are fucking 10 of them and leaving 20 out. Like, women are gonna women.
might not be as great for women. However, some, that's the caveat, women in the comments did not agree that they were totally cooked. Like one woman said, it's just as amazing for women. What do you mean? Another woman said, I don't know, personally, I've had a great time dating here and I don't think I'm wildly attractive, LOL. And most of it has been in person. Was only on the apps for a few months pre-vaccine. You just have to leave the house. But that's the hard thing. People don't want to leave the house. They want to be on their phones.
Not really. Okay, the thing is, when you're in small cities, I think you can just like meet people in person more. Yeah.
24/7. Another person said, really? I've had 3 NYC boyfriends and they all wanted to get married and I didn't want to. Would rather be single, she says. But of course,
Yeah, but it's 70-30. That includes older women.
like, that comment shows therein lies the issue. And if men are dealing with countless women who do not want to settle down,
Okay, where is she going to say my
who
name?
are just interested in dating around, who are girl bossing in their New York City cubicles, who are getting micro banks, I don't know, whatever you guys are doing, then yeah, they will probably opt out or they will move and just change dating markets. But the point is, what I'm trying to say here is that I feel like I say this in every single dating episode, but it's not a black and white issue. Some men and women in different dating markets are still thriving, but it is a hard market regardless. It's just like the real estate market in 2026. It is complicated and it is complex. But what does seem to be an objective truth at this point is that the red pill bros, the men going on their own way movement, whatever that is, they are never happy. Nothing will please them because honestly,
How dare you? How dare you? Just white women. I see why they hate us.
just like liberal
Because it's just like, how dare you complain to the men about anything that they decide to do in the position you're in? Shut up. Shut up.
feminist women, all they do is complain and desire to hate the opposite sex.
But you don't even know what red pill is. There's forums called the Married Red Pill with men that have been married like 20 plus years. She doesn't even know what the red pill is.
No matter what we do, they will find a reason to be upset. They are even complaining over Evie Magazine trying to teach women how to have better sex and better please their husbands.
Oh my God, she's not gonna do it. Oh my God. Okay, so okay, hold on.
Literally. Now, in case you missed that entire controversy happening on X right now, Evie Magazine's newest print issue, they do a couple of print issues every single year. This next issue is going to be all on sex for married women.
Okay, so now Brett Cooper is going to defend a quote unquote, so they're going to use conservatism, which is supposed to be conserving like traditional values, right? Modesty, like when you think of conservatism is one of those values. So women want to be naked really bad because it gives them more attention. So, and it draws more attention to whatever they want. So they just want to get naked. And conservative women are now going to defend the right of women to get naked so they can get naked. Because Brett got naked in her photo shoot. Not completely naked, but she's doing a sexy photo shoot too. And now she's going to defend it because they want the right to be whores, but not be called whores. And I'm like, look, we're all whores. Just admit it. Just admit it, It's fine. Just say whore. I'm a whore. I'm a slut, hoe, whore, big whore. Yeah. It's okay,
And here's the cover right here. Obviously, this got a lot of people fired up in many ways, but in a recent post, they explained why they're doing this. So I want to read this to you and then show you the response to just show you how ridiculous and hypocritical it really is. So this was a letter from Brittany Hugo Boom, who is the editor-in-chief and the founder of Evie. And she said, "Dear readers, this is the first of many themed issues, and it is the most ambitious thing we have ever done. For years, a recurring plea has shown up in our DMs, our emails, and our survey."
They realize traditionalism means there's a natural order in the world. So you get instruction from your husband, right? God talks to your husband, the husband talks to the wife, right? So if you have questions about sex, you're supposed to go to your husband, not a magazine. It's actually pretty liberal to go to a random woman on the internet. It's conservative to go to your husband, right? You could be like, "Daddy, how do I gluck 9,000 better for you?" You know what I mean? So it's like
responses. Young married women are asking us for real, honest, and detailed guidance on sex. A reader once wrote to us and said, "Progressives own sex positivity but abandoned marriage and monogamy a long time ago. Conservatives own marriage but can't bring themselves to be sex positive." That stuck with us because it's true, and it perfectly describes the gap that millions of women are living in. Many young women, especially from traditional religious families, have come into womanhood without learning anything about sex. They save themselves for marriage, and then they realize that the culture that told them to wait had absolutely nothing to say about what comes after the altar. They grew up with negative associations to intimacy, but were expected to become uninhibited the moment that they said, "I do." We believe that sex is one of the most important foundations to a thriving marriage. You cannot call something sacred and then refuse to take it seriously. Now, she goes on, there were other parts of it that were also controversial to the detractors online, but like, to me, what Evie is doing, it sounds like a good and healthy thing, because for years, young women have been bombarded with sex positive content. However, it was not positive in the slightest. It was not beautiful or healthy at all, in my opinion. It was explicit and gross advice from Call Her Daddy and Teen Vogue, who encouraged women to sleep around like men and play the dating game.
Okay, but you're encouraging women to do a sexual photo shoot while married. How are you any better? If anything, I like Call Her Daddy. I mean, they give Gluck 9,000 advice. I mean, it's very practical if you really listen to the original. I mean, that could save a marriage right there, you know?
Games and find your perfect non-binary queer vibrator, which was a literal article that was released on Teen Vogue. Meanwhile, on the right, and for girls from more traditional families or who are more traditional, the advice is always
no such thing as a traditional woman. You guys are we're all the same, and you prove it. So
save yourself.
Thank you for that. Helps me, with my career. So keep going.
Embrace traditionalism, embrace purity. But again, what happens when you get married?
None of you bitches are pure. You can sell that to your husbands. You're not selling that to me.
And even if you aren't a virgin when you get married, maybe you're still looking for pointers. Maybe you don't really know what you're doing. So where do you look? Where do you go for that advice? Certainly not Cosmo or Teen Vogue or freaking
your husband. That would be traditional. Your husband.
Alex Cooper. Hopefully it's not porn or smut, even though that has become far
more husband, wives that not the internet.
Common for women, unfortunately. So this is a niche that should be filled. This should make a lot of
what should and shouldn't be. You're like 22,
people happy. Now, some people responded to this and said, this is weird. Mass media should not be talking about this. Go talk to your mentors or your friends, older women. But this is also just such a personal and intimate thing. Obviously, some people are not comfortable having those conversations. They might not have access to individuals who could help them. Mary Morgan, for example, wrote a hilarious and painfully accurate response to that. And she said, instead of clapping back with, "They should go to older women for advice, not a magazine," first ask yourself why young couples do not have trusted older married mentors in the first place. The average boomer has shitty advice on pretty much every topic.
And you're telling me Evie magazine is going to have good advice, really? That's going to be better.
But they are especially hopeless when it comes to dating, sex, marriage. They are the free love divorce generation, after all. The average boomer lady is going to tell a younger woman to marry her vibrator. It is that bad. Now, moving on from that and going into the other detractors, I'm looking at the landscape of the internet.
Me.
For you page. My algorithm on X. And I'm like, aren't people online always complaining about marriages these days? About
you spent half your show complaining. It's like the audacity.
Marriages are loveless and sexless. So why would men even get involved in that? Why would they engage in something that is so terrible and barren? And this magazine, this issue, is here to help. But no, guys, because it is still a problem. And I guess as I'm doing this episode, I should have also included the red pill women, because of course, Pearl was one of the first people to jump.
Yup.
in Evie's comment section. She said, ha 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 ha, oh, please keep going. And then she said, I love how hard trad e-girls fight to be more and more naked. And like, I don't even care, but how is that like a response to the very valid argument?
Because there is a naked woman on the cover. I mean, are you stupid or are you playing dumb? Playing dumb would be, I think that, I really don't want to think you're stupid. I don't want to think that you're dumb. I don't, but here's the thing, as an e-girl, people tell you you're smart all the time. Are you stupid or playing dumb? Why am I talking about e-girls fighting to be naked when there's a woman in lingerie you just showed on the screen? Are you dumb or playing stupid? Which one? She's got to go live, okay? I don't like this.
And reasoning that Evie laid
we
out.
need to demand these streamers go live. Do you guys mean what you say?
Like, part of being trad, I would hope, is being married and having a healthy, happy sex life with your husband. And I think that is what Evie is trying to encourage.
No such thing. You cannot be traditional and be on social media, bitches. That's so incredible. It's like, oh, well, I need this magazine to be trad. It's like, well, do you want to delete social media to be trad? Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, why don't we just get back to the whores? Just say, I like getting offers from other men in case I want to leave my husband. I mean, that makes sense, right? That makes perfect sense. That at least is logical to me. I like wearing a black dress, showcasing it for the world because I like other offers, you know. I like the attention. At least we're being like honest here. I'm trying to just encourage a little bit of honesty. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little, right? Is that too much to ask?
And help young women do. Another commenter said, spoiler, there are no traditional women. They are all just whores like us men. Let's stop the charade. Okay, women are whores because they want to have better sex with their husbands. Because
were you a virgin on your wedding night? Were you a virgin on your wedding night? No? Whore. We're all whores, right? And even the women that are virgins on their wedding night, it's usually just because a hot enough Chad didn't ask. A hot enough Chad just did not ask. But notice how she's become more man-hating after the kid. Now she's got power. This is a woman drunk on power. I know, an unchecked ego.
they want to learn how to please their husbands and be comfortable and understand their bodies. Like, okay, you all genuinely just want to be mad about everything. That is what I've taken away from this entire situation. It doesn't matter if somebody's trying to fix the problem.
No, because you don't know what the red pill is. The red pill actually is completely dedicated to fixing the problems. You don't have an answer to any of the problems because all of your solutions are you either don't have a solution or it's very abstract. Yeah, and nobody made you throw it back for other dudes before your husband. Nobody made you do that. So, I mean, hoes are going to hoe, including you, Brett. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. You know, sometimes hoeing just calls your name and you got to hoe, you know.
That you've laid out, that you yell about online 24/7. You just want to be pissed off. I mean, to go on and on.
I mean, but you were just pissed off at the red pill. It's just like the hypocrisy. Like, if you're going to be a hypocrite, just don't do it in the same video. Just do it in different, like two separate videos would be ideal. Because then it's like, well, she probably forgot she said that, you know. But you couldn't have forgot because the naked picture was right there, and two, you just complained, you know. So.
About how sexless, loveless marriages are a problem in America, that they lead to divorce, and divorce is bad, and divorce makes men resent women, and why should men get married in the first place? Everything is terrible. Oh my gosh, if only somebody was offering a solution and trying.
Delete social media, Brett. That would fix your sex life. I'm sorry, whoever you had sex with in college was better sex than your husband. He was probably sexually inexperienced to allow you to act this way as a married woman, which it is what it is, right? Don't take it with a grain of salt, you know. But yeah, I mean, Just because you threw it back more than him, it just is what, I mean, that's like the conservative marriage. So.
To make things better and healthier. Like you people, you commenters, you offer no solutions except retreating into a resentful, lonely isolation where men and women continue to hate.
She's so mad that we all know because this is the thing. Red pillar, there's behaviors she just can't hide that we all know indicate that you hoed a bit. You can't hide them. You can pretend, you can gaslight for eternity, but we all know a hoe when we see one. We all know a UCLA whore. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? Just like Candace Owens, like she tries to not be ghetto, but we can all kind of see you're kind of ghetto, right? You can't hide it. And that pisses her off. She doesn't like being found out because she made her brand on like being super innocent, you know? Anyways. She's not holding this L too well with the clavicular thing. I hope she gets it back though. Look I don't judge you for hoeing, but you're not gonna hoe and fool me. You're not gonna hoe and then pretend you're not hoeing. I don't like the gaslighting. Hoes are fine. We love the hoes, you know. Anyways. All right, guys. Hoes are gonna hoe. All right, guys. We're at the 2-hour mark, so Candace admits she used to part. I'm sure she did, but I bet she didn't admit that till after she had a few kids, you know? That's when you admit it, after you built the brand, after you got the kids. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Wait, what the heck? Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Wait. Brett pretends she didn't hoe, but everybody knows. UCLA sorority girl. And look, I'm not the type to clutch my pearls, but every now and then a bitch has got to throw it back. 'Cause you're so horny, somebody tapped that. And we're all adults here. We know that hoes are gonna hoe. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Nobody has to know, but hoes are gonna hoe. People like Brett are used to nobody questioning their wholeness. But I'm like, bitches, I know you're in your 20s and sometimes you gotta hoe. It's usually college. In college, you threw a few shots. In college, you act like a thought. In college, everybody knows that hoes are gonna hoe. That holier than thou ain't gonna work on me. You are not gonna sell me purity. Now your simp husbands, they might buy that too, but I don't see a big difference between you and Bonnie Blue. And maybe this will get me in trouble, but I'm trying to get these simps out of the conservative bubble. Hoes are gonna hoe. Clavicular nose. Hoes are gonna hoe. Keep it on the low. Now we used to get away with hoeing, now social media's here that puts a lot of trad e-girls in tears. 'Cause now everybody knows hoes are gonna hoe. Everybody knows that you can't stop a hoe. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. That song was from the bottom of my heart, you know. You know, I get music offers all the time and I just turn them down, you know. Super busy, you know. Pearl's got to go and be a hoe, you know. We got a hoe. So 304s are going to 304. Yeah, I know. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Does Doug, can you freestyle? I'll hold the show if Doug can add a verse. $10. Thank you guys. $10. I can sing, but I can't rap. Well, I mean, yeah, then I got to take away your N-word pass. I got to take it away. You don't deserve an N-word pass. Well, I mean, it was more of like it's okay. Next time, you should write a few verses for the Black Fatigue song, and I can just play it, and you could like come, you know. All right, well, I gotta go anyways, guys. If you can, like the video and subscribe. Let me know if you want. Send this to the music officials. Yeah, because I think I deserve an album, you know. So, I mean, I turn it down all the time, haha. But yeah, you know, you never know. Anyways, like the video. I'll see you next time.